Before we can build healthy, thriving relationships with others, we must first understand and steward ourselves. This episode kicks off our new season on building healthy relationships by unpacking self awareness, emotional intelligence, and biblical principles that form the very foundation of meaningful connections. Hey there, welcome back to a brand new season of Ignite 180, where faith meets fire and transformation takes flight. I'm your host, Sharita Santiago, and this season we're digging deep into the heartbeat of every meaningful life, business, and mission, and that is relationships. We've laid the foundation in our previous season with the discussion around purpose, direction, healing, and impact. Now it's time to talk about how the people in your life, the ones you choose, the ones you lead, the ones you serve, can either fuel your growth or frustrate your future. In this season, we'll uncover the essentials of building healthy, powerful relationships that align with your purpose and sharpen your character while also stretching your potential. We'll be talking about everything from friendships to partnerships to mentorships and yes, even marriage. You'll learn how to foster trust, communication, collaboration, and most importantly, community. We will talk about how to lead rationally without losing yourself. So if you're ready to stop settling for shallow connections, let's jump into our conversation. So, friends, I want to start this conversation by first setting some expectations. This season is not just about improving communication. Yes, communication is essential for everything we do. It's essential for business, our relationships at home with our children, our spouses, our friends, our family. But this is about transforming how you show up for the people God has called you to walk with, to serve, to impact, and to love. So we are going to not only talk about strategies in the way in which we communicate, but we're really going to take a deep dive and a look at how we can take the steps to transform the way that we used to be and make a 180 shift to the way that we need to be to form and have healthy relationships. And joining me this season are some phenomenal guests who have built multi-million dollar businesses, who have built phenomenal friendships and relationships that have been built on the back of healthy, transformative relationships that go deeper than transactional engagements, the exchange of a business card or a handshake, but what it really looks like to take a deep dive and truly care for those you serve and serve with. So for many of you, I'm a voice over the airwaves, and for others, I'm their professor. I work in higher education and have the privilege of serving sharp, very intelligent young adults, and I absolutely love it. And recently I had a conversation with a student who was expressing some social anxiety. She was in a completely new environment and responsible for meeting new people, engaging with her peers. She had just gotten on a plane, had never flown anywhere, had never really been away from home, and was dealing with a lot of self-reflection related to who she was in relation and connection with others. And the goal ultimately for these assignments are to have our students build quality, healthy relationships. End of story. So that when they graduate college, they have an opportunity to connect with employers. But just like any of us who may be experiencing some silent struggles, feeling disconnected, even when surrounded by people, we have to delve deeper into how we might reflect on those things that are not external, but what's really happening internally. And truly, without identifying and clarifying what those things are, we could find ourselves in building relationships where we are either overextending ourselves, withdrawing, or having unhealthy attachments or engagement or unhealthy patterns with those that we want to form relationships with. So what I'd like to do is jump into emotional intelligence. And I know you've heard this term, but I want to take a deeper dive into what emotional intelligence is and how we can put this to use in building up relationships. So, by definition, emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to identify, understand, and manage your own emotions as well as the emotions of others. It truly involves monitoring one's own emotional state. Emotional intelligence is about perceiving emotions, understanding emotions, managing your emotions, and using them well. And this is directly tied to when we think about relationships, not only self management, but also relationship management. So, this is directly tied to the way that we manage others in that engagement. And here's a really great idea that I want to kind of have you land on as we have this conversation. Self awareness is not a luxury. It's the foundation of every strong connection that you and I will ever build. It is not a luxury. You don't have the privilege of not being aware of who you are, the way you speak, the way you engage others, how you make people feel. It is the very foundation of the relationships you will build. So I want to give you some stats and then further our conversation. So in Talent Smart EQ, emotional intelligence accounts for 58% of success in jobs and in leadership. 90% of top performers rank high in emotional intelligence. That's a lot. People with emotional intelligence earn 30,000 or more higher than the average employee or person who has a lower emotional quotient. So again, emotional intelligence has 5 competent areas. And the first is self-awareness. So that's why we're starting the conversation. And I'm in my sharing the story about my student and in my story about myself and my social awkwardness. It's recognizing your emotional patterns and needs. And sometimes that can be tricky. One of the things I would totally encourage is surrounding yourself with people or the community that you currently have and receiving feedback. And hey, one of the things that I did personally was I recognized the things that I heard as a repeat pattern. For example, one of my sisters told me, well, not one time, but many times, that when I get frustrated, I repeat myself over and over and over again. And then one day I heard it and I recognized, okay, I'm doing this. This is a pattern. It's unhealthy. How do I change it? That's healthy self-awareness. Self-regulation is managing the impulses and your emotional reaction. So no matter what someone else does or what someone else says to you or how they engage you, how do you manage and regulate yourself in the process of engaging? Again, we haven't talked about the relationship with them from an external perspective. This is still about us from an internal look. Empathy is another core competency for emotional intelligence. And empathy is about valuing and understanding others' emotions. So when they say, you made me feel like X, your emotional inclination might be to say, well, that's your problem. But the God honest truth is that if you're emotionally intelligent, we must empathize. We must see what it's like to be in the other person's shoes. The fourth is social skills, communicating effectively and managing conflict. So when we have problems, we don't just blow over those problems and think that time passes and then the problem goes away. It's tried and true having a dialogue and figuring out how do we resolve this conflict and communicate our needs effectively. You hurt me when you said this. I know I hurt you when I said that. How do we resolve? You see, this is transition into engagement with someone else in a dialogue that may be two ways. And then lastly is motivation, staying committed to relational growth even when it is challenged. I love the scripture from Proverbs 18:24. A man have friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So I just want to remind you that true connection starts with personal responsibility. First, showing yourself kind. Kindness is important, but building healthy relationships is not just about being nice. It's also about being trustworthy. It's about being safe, understanding, emotionally available. Just think about it, like having someone who's a true confidant, where if you share your secrets with them, that they love you enough that even if the relationship isn't as strong today as it is tomorrow, that those secrets are still safe with that individual. So trust, kindness, safety, understanding, and emotional availability. Healthy relationships are often also formed by who we are and not just what we desire from others. I'll say that again. Healthy relationships are often formed by who we are, not just what we desire from others. There's a quote that I told my husband when I first met him by Jim Rohn that says, I used to say, you look out for me and I'll look out for you. And now I say, if you take care of you for me, I'll take care of me for you. And what that does is it brings the onus of how we are responsible and for handling those others outside of their responsibility and gives it back to ourselves. That I'm going to take care of myself, my mental health. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to, take care of my eating habits, my mind, my attitude. I'm going to tend to who I am so that when I interact with you, I'm a refreshed individual. I'm not bleeding on you. I'm not taking out my anxieties on you. And though those things might happen incidentally, it's not an ongoing thing. What we have to realize is that when we have unhealthy patterns that show up in a cycle everywhere we go, because you take yourself everywhere you go. When we have those things transpire, we have to take a reflection internally. If you want a trustworthy, life-giving connection, you must first become trustworthy and life-giving. If you want a trustworthy relationship, then you must become what you desire to see in this world. So, as I prepare to close this first episode of this new season, I want to leave you with some reflective questions. And the first question is who are you? Who are you when no one else is around? When you strip away your titles, responsibilities, and your roles at baseline, emotionally, who are you? Because that is the start of building your healthy relationship. Are you friendly? Are you weird like me who, sometimes you get in a room and it's like, I want to say hi to everyone. I describe my experience in my mind as I'm a big party. Like I am a party animal. I'm walking in the room and everything's like, like, yeah, I'm here. But really, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to smile. I'm going to quietly stand in the room and hug someone if they want to hug me back. I want to love on people without conditions. And I recognize that with the way that I feel internally, I'm easily hurt. So what I want you to do is begin to investigate who you are when it's just you. Do a deep dive and explore who you are. What patterns do you repeat in relationships? Are you a ghoster? I hear the students, the young people talk about ghosting a lot. Do you ghost people out? Do you get frustrated about certain things and decide that you can't handle being with someone or engaging with someone, so you just disappear? I want you to take some time to recognize your defensive behaviors, your emotional responses, your attachments. What makes you tick? What makes when you get angry? How do you respond? Are you running from something or clinging to something? The third thing I want you to do is I really want you to take this third question into serious consideration. I want you to think about what you truly need from a community and connection. This is important. What do you need from the people around you? Do you need a shoulder to cry on? I feel like I'm strong. I cry in my home. I cry in my bedroom sometimes. I get frustrated, maybe emotionally welled up by some things that I enjoy, but I do a lot of that privately. I feel like because I'm the backbone in a lot of environments that I don't necessarily get an opportunity to express that. So for me, being in space with friends that I trust, where I can let it all out, is what I need. Being in a space where I can be Sharita in an environment is what I found I need from my community. That, like, you're not getting this one dimensional aspect of who I am. I want friends who can handle all of me. And that without all of the conditions and regulations. And I found it in Mel and Roz, and I found it in Courtney and Alicia. I found it in my cousin Tessa and my husband. I've found that with so many amazing women who I've surrounded myself with. I found it with Quanita, and I love it. I love having the ability to engage my community and just be me 100%. But that also took intentionality. My friends will tell you, I went to God and I prayed about having godly friends. I said, Lord, I want you to surround me with people who will love me and I get to love them back. So that's very important to me. So my question to you again is, what do you need from your community and your connections? I want you to differentiate surface level desires from soul level desires. What do you really need deep down from your relationships? And they may not be friendships. It may be, this is what I really need from my mother or from my father or from my sister or brother, or what I need from my neighbor or from my boss. I really want you to think about the relationships you have and what you need. I also want you to think, is it accountability? Is it encouragement? Is it honesty? Is it loyalty? Is it a shared faith? Do you need someone to pray with regularly? But honestly, I know I'm beating this, but I really, really want you to take this into consideration. And maybe, ask the Lord to show you where you need healing for relationships before you jump into any new ones. What do you need for you? So as we recap, I want you to know that first, strong relationships are a byproduct of strong self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Healthy relationships, partnerships, and marriages require intentionality, not assumption. Y'all, this ain't pop the balloon. We're not looking at folks and saying, oh, I might want to be in a relationship with you, but your fit isn't nice, or I don't like your cornrows or your hair. That is so superficial. And the society we live in will look at the superficial and carry on. This that I'm talking to you about is the real stuff. This stuff is where roots are planted and how you will sustain yourself. Because y'all, I want to tell you, I want to be married in 45 years and be like, child, me and my husband been married for 45 years. I want to be able to come and say that. Deep roots. So this is about deep roots, healthy friendships, partnerships, marriages that require intentionality. The other thing is, I need you to understand one thing. If you didn't take anything from this conversation, you are not alone in this journey. I've said it all over the place and I'll keep saying it. We have so much more alike than we have dissimilarities. We are similar and growth is possible. Transformation for you is available. So if you want change and you want more out of your life, you can have it. And it starts at the next right conversation. So first, with yourself and then with others. So until next time, I want you to explore those 3 questions, and I want you to choose your inner circle wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your purpose, to your seed, to your gifting. So we have to learn to discern who is able to have access to us and discern what gives you life and the community around you. So again, I am Sharita Santiago, your host for Ignite 180. I want you to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. I also will be posting on YouTube to have further conversations. I thank each of you for joining me. You can check us out at www.ignite180.co or check us out on YouTube at Ignite 180. I thank you for joining us for this conversation. And again, remember, we are leading. You are leading and growing your relationship. So again, lead every moment. Thank you again, and God bless.